Hello, Ghost Shores parents. I'm going to take this time. It's pretty neat that we have these abilities to do the recording stuff, and that way I can sort of talk to you about what we do here at the middle school. I just want to keep you up to date on everything. I try to a lot of times with our videos, also with our emails, and anything I possibly can let you know through Canvas. One thing that we do at the school, another component that we do is we do benchmark testing. And you may not know exactly what that is. Your child may tell you what it is and may tell you how much they don't like it, but let me tell you why we do it. Let me tell you what it does for us as teachers and what it does for us as a school. And it is getting to be time to do another benchmark. The next benchmark will be January the 5th. So it'll be after Christmas break, after we come back. And every year, what we do is we do benchmark testing in the fall, in the winter, and then in the spring as well. And that what the reason why we do that, and I'm gonna go over that in just a minute, is just to see how much our students are learning throughout the year. If you'll remember last year during the COVID break, we actually did a benchmark at home through iReady, so that way we could sort of see, because it's important to us to know how much our kids have learned or have not learned, or where we can try to help them out for the upcoming year. And then also this time, if we're doing it during the school year, that way we'll know what to do for second semester. And what we do next is, like I said, January the 5th, during elective classes, we will do a benchmark. It's our second benchmark through the iReady assessments. We also will have some other benchmarks coming up with STAR, which will be taking place actually in the core classes, which is in the English class or in the math class. But this one is going to be taken through elective classes on January the 5th. We come back to school, and then we take the diagnostic just to see how much our kids have learned from the fall to the winter. And then that way we'll know how to do what we need to do with the students before state testing time. So is I ready? And this is we're going to talk about getting ready to take the diagnostic for middle school grades. The diagnostic is important because it. Let me move my picture around for you so you can see that a little bit. The diagnostic is important because it helps you and helps you and our teachers. So this screen was actually developed for our students, but this applies for parents as well. So what we're doing is with the diagnostic, it lets us know what the student actually knows, and then it also lets us know what they don't know and what we need to do to help them learn those certain skills. Um, so again, why are we taking it? We want to celebrate what they've learned. We want to know where they were when they started, what they've learned so far. Also, we want to know how close you're getting to learning the next goal. If you've had to learn certain stepping blocks or building blocks in order to get to an end goal, we want to see how many of those building blocks you've learned and how many you got left before you can complete that goal. And we want to know how much you need to know before the end of the school year. So not only it's sort of like you can look at like a speedometer, or you know a map to see how far you've come from point A to point B. You want to see how far they've made it, and if they're halfway and it's halfway through the year, then we're progressing at the right rate. If they've only made it a third of the way and we only have you know one half the year left, they still have two-thirds to go. We want to be able to speed up and be able to know where we can try to help them with that. And also, it gives us new lessons when it comes to they're using iReady in their classrooms and their elective classes once a week for math and once a week for reading. This gives them the new lessons. It lets us know what kind of lessons they need to be working on during those times. And the lessons can be this way, as you can tell, and you can ask your student or ask your child what we do when it comes to iReady. They can explain this to you even better than I can. But this is where the diagnostic goes into it. Teacher signs. So in other words, if a teacher is taught a certain goal or they've taught a certain standard and they give this assessment, and through the diagnostic we can see that student still has no idea what that is, the teacher can choose to assign them a lesson to try to reinforce that standard that they've taught, to try to see if we can help them catch up with that. And then also the diagnostic will assign them based on what how they score. It'll assign them on what they need to be working on next. So it shows you the teacher assigned path, and also my path is actually designed throughout Ready. The results of your diagnostic decide what lessons you get. So if you don't try, You may get low level stuff and it really doesn't help. But if you do try, if the student does their best, it'll really help them get better and be a better student, which is what we want. So we want to try our best, and then that way your lessons match what you learn and what you need to learn. It is an adaptive test, and what does that mean? If I when I say that to people, adaptive means is it adapts to your level. So in other words, it'll give you a question, and if you're nowhere near the answer of that question, it might give you an easier question to see. Well, they can't do this, but maybe they can do this. That's what adaptive means. Now, if it gives them a question and they can just answer it real fast and they know that answer, it'll give them a harder one the next time. That's how adaptive works. So some questions will be hard, some will be easy, and some will be just right because it's trying to figure out where that level of that student is. It might, let's say a student in sixth grade, the question might be a fifth grade question at first, so that way they can see if they know their fifth grade stuff. If they don't, it might give them a fourth grade question. But also, they could be in sixth grade and be on the eighth and ninth grade level. So it'll give them a sixth grade question, and then they'll say, "Oh my goodness, this is too easy." So the next question might be an eighth grade level question. So just because you miss a question you don't know, that's okay. That means it's working correctly. So there should be questions that you don't know unless you just know everything, which is possible. And we also got to remember this: it is adaptive. So you got to try your best, no matter if it's a hard one or if an easy one. You got to try your best on every single question so that it'll know. And you can ask your student when they take this kind of test, an adaptive test in the fall, the test is longer because it's trying to figure out where they are. In the spring and in the winter, it'll be a little bit shorter because it knows based on their fall score where to start them. So then it'll adjust accordingly for that. Keep messing with everything. And so it's important for them to try their best and do not rush through the test. The good thing about iReady is it'll tell me, it gives me on the results, it'll give me a result of a student, but also if they rushed, it'll give me either a yellow flag, which is telling me they might have rushed, or to give them a red flag, basically saying there's no way they were this fast and they missed this many questions or they got this many questions because they rushed through it. They probably don't get it if they rush through it. So I probably missed a bunch in a row. Also, remember, you can see questions that just because they're just right, they're too easy, or they're too hard, it's trying to figure everything out. So if you're not trying, it's going to be really hard for it to figure out, and it may prolong your test as opposed to shorten your test. If it can figure out where you are and what you do know and what you don't know, it'll end the test quick. But if you are given sporadic answers, your test may take forever. So keep that in mind that the better you do, sometimes it's faster and not slower. So when a student logs in, when they log in, this is what they'll see. They'll see they get to take the reading on some days, or they'll take a math on another day. So they choose which one they're taking, and then it'll say reading diagnostic, and then they select the green diagnostic button. And then these are the things that, like I just went over, I want to recap exactly what we just talked about. Take your time, don't rush. Read each question carefully and thoroughly and get it right or get it wrong, but try your best. That's very important. And for math, show your work on paper for every problem. So that way you don't get confused on what you did and did not do. Mr. Reeds, if you have him in seventh grade, you understand. That's why he makes you show your work because he wants to see where you missed the problem, not just did you get a problem right or did you get a problem wrong. Another math teacher this way too, but I just know Mr. Reeds does this because I've seen him do it. But if you have a long problem, he can tell what you did wrong. So when you show your work, you can really help out, figure out where the mistake was. And for reading, read each passage carefully and reread the passage when necessary. So just because you read it and ask you a question, if you don't remember it, it's okay to go back and reread or to relook and find it and check your work before you go to the next one. This is what a typical report looks like. And you can see on this report here, this is Danielle Baker, which is not a real student here, but this is just a typical student. As you can tell, Danielle as you is a fifth grader. This is from Diagnostic 1 in the area of math. And in Diagnostic 1, they scored a score of 459 points. If you look at the bar right in the middle, the blue bar graph that goes up, you can see a typical score of 477, which means if they scored a 477 on the Diagnostic 1, So on diagnostic 2, we would project that if they scored a 477, then they would score a 490 the next time. The blue line, or the blue line, sorry, the green line is the green midline goal, which is where we want all students to be at the end of the year. We want them to hit the green line, and when they do, that means when we give a state assessment, they should be right where they're supposed to be. Mid for the grade level is where we want them to land. However, that's just based on what they score. If you see the green shaded area, if they land anywhere in that green shaded, you can tell their own grade level, which means I would assume that Danielle is a sixth grader. So if they land anywhere in the green, then they're a sixth grade level math student. That's what we want. But also based on what they scored, we want them to hit that green line by the end of the year. Looking over there further to the right, math is not only just math, it's broken down. They break math down into four different components: numbers and operations, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, and geometry. Our standards are broken down like that as well. So this tells us, based on Danielle's scores of the 459, the areas in yellow means he or she, I guess it's a she is close to fifth grade level in all of these certain areas. That's why it's yellow. The key is yellow, green, and red. Danielle doesn't have any green, so Danielle's not on grade level, but yellow means they're below grade level, one grade level behind. Why is fourth grade one grade level behind? Because this is based on Danielle in fifth grade. I just said while you go sixth grade, she's actually in fifth grade, so she's one grade level behind in number and operations, algebraic and algebraic thinking, algebra and algebraic thinking, measurement and data, and geometry. She's two grade levels behind. So in fifth grade is where she should be. She's on third grade on geometry skills, so that's why it's red. A lot of times, this will throw people off. They'll say geometry, you don't take that till 10th grade. That's true, but there are basic geometry skills that every student learns all the way from kindergarten. That is going to be basic things like shapes and angles and sides and lines and all those kind of things fall in the geometry category. Measurement and data, same thing. I know that's an advanced skill. A lot of times you think about that, but there are measurement and data things that they're learning in algebra as well. Algebra doesn't just start in seventh, eighth, or ninth grade. Algebraic skills and algebraic thinking starts early in life in kindergarten. Numbers and operations falls in just like what you think. That is going to be number sense and being able to do numerical operations as it is saying. And so that way they still don't know how to do that. And then algebra, you know, algebra, they may use the letter X when they get older, but there are algebraic concepts that don't have a letter that they're using early on in life. So after the diagnostic, you can review your results and goals by looking at those things. Like I just said, you can see where Danielle scored. You can see where Danielle needs to be. You can see where grade level is with the green shade. And then also you can break it down into the four different components of math. So what can you talk about with your student? You want to progress them, talk to them about when they show you the report, this is where we want them to be. So you can talk about to them about that. Then also you can look at this over here and you can see their strengths and weaknesses and you can say, hey, you know, we got to strengthen up our geometry score and that will help this overall score as well. So how they did and how you can help them progress to the next grade level on the test and also improve in each sub area. So that is the diagnostic in a nutshell. I know there's more to it than that, but I wanted to let you guys know that's what we do, and that's why we do the diagnostic at Gulf Shores Middle School. So it's coming up, like I said, in during the elective times are coming up. Let me turn this back on so I don't get distracted. But during elective times on January the 5th, we will take the iReady diagnostic. It is very similar to what they took in the fall, but it will just pick up and just see what they've learned. So please, on your end, help us encourage your child to do their best so that we'll get good information from the test so that we can help them and be able to get them scoring well on the state assessments, which are coming up around March or April. So please help us with that. And hopefully this helped. And that way you'll know what a diagnostic is and what a benchmark is and why we do it at Gulf Shores Middle School. Everyone have a great rest of the day or morning or whatever it is in your case. Go Dolphins.